Hi guys, welcome to the briefing for this first stage. The main thing to grasp today is that the route is flat and it harbors no particular difficulties. A sprint finish is more than likely. We don't have what it takes to be in the final sprint. If we want to make a showing, we'll have to be in the early breakaway. Have a good stage.
Hello, cycling fans everywhere. For this stage, which is in the form of a circuit, it's a safe bet that the sprinters will do their utmost to cross the line in front on their second visit to Tryptichon, the end of this flat stage. The riders have just set out and already there's an attack.
His teammates have already started the pursuit, no doubt aiming for a sprint finish. Watch out! You're not going to be able to attack for much longer.
One minute for the breakaway. It's looking good.
He's asked his teammates to manage the time gap. He no doubt wants to take the win in the sprint.
He is a pure ruler who relies on his power to tip the scales. Anyway, he doesn't have much choice given his qualities as a sprinter. His best chance of victory is to try a breakaway from far out. There's an attack behind.
Don't let the counterattack catch up. The peloton won't let such a large group get away. The first riders are 2 kilometers from the climb. You are 2 kilometers from the top. He launched the mountain sprint. Watch out for him. He's the best puncher in the breakaway. Here's the positions over the last climb.
He rides well and goes well over short climbs. However, his speed and mountain ability are limited. A good ruler, he doesn't really have a strong point that would scare opponents.
Guys, at the beginning of this tour, the sprinters will not allow breakaways. If there are more than 5 or 6 riders in front, the sprinters will get their teammates to ride.
He's one of the rulers with a good top speed, able to do well on the hilly stage. He's a teammate without ambitions for the overall standings.
C'est bien. Allez.
Watch out. You're not going to be able to keep up this pace for very long. You risk a blow-up.
The breakaway is losing ground.
You must constantly try to shelter from the wind, so as not to consume energy. This is what allows a rider to edge clear at the end of the race. The breakaway is upping the tempo at the head of the race. It doesn't intend to be caught up that easily.
Last time checked with the breakaway, 1 minute.
His teammates are accelerating. He's no doubt asked them to reel in the counterattack to avoid too big a breakaway. His teammates are accelerating. They're no doubt readying the intermediate sprint.
The front of the race is going through Tryptichon. On the second trip, it will be the finishing line for the stage.
The head of the race is 5 kilometers from the intermediate sprint.
The intermediate sprint is approaching. The first 10 riders score points towards the green jersey. The first will pocket 10 points.
Here's the winner of the intermediate sprint.
Continuez comme ça. Continuez les gars. Bravo les gars. Allez les gars. Allez les gars. Bravo les gars. Courage là.
He's a very explosive rider on short climbs, but is not really at ease in the high mountains. The head of the race has 1.5 minutes lead on the peloton.
The breakaway threatens the overall standings. He's decided to get his guys to put their foot down.
The riders are now entering the feed zone. They will be able to pick up something to eat.
Okay, we'll consume a feed. His teammates have positioned themselves at the head of the peloton. They will no doubt manage the gap so as to finish in a sprint. He's the fastest sprinter in the leading group.
The final climb of the day will soon be upon us. After this final fourth category climb, there will be 20 kilometers to the finish.
10 kilometers from the finish, guys. Stay well positioned to avoid falls. Watch the demeanor of the other sprinters to know when to launch your sprint. If you start too soon, you will be unable to continue your effort to the line. If you start too late, you will not have time to work your way to the front.
The peloton has entered the final 10 kilometers. It will be difficult to slip below the radar of the sprinters' teams.
Just 5 more kilometers. We are heading for a mass sprint.
Only 3 kilometers left. It's a bunched peloton that will fight it out for victory.
Last kilometer. You've got to sprint. Watch out. You're not going to be able to attack for much longer. Great, guys! I wasn't expecting anything from this stage, and you bring home a podium place? Well done to you all! Hi guys, let's start the briefing for this stage. Today there's a short time trial on the program. Unsurprisingly, an excellent rouleur should claim victory. Let's be clear, our chances of getting into the top 10 are slim. Try to limit the damage.
We have the last rider at the start of this individual time trial. He'll do his utmost to produce the best time. Come on, let's give him a hand.
Come on, it's a short time trial. You must hit the right tempo as soon as possible.
Plus vite!
Go, go! Stick to the tempo! Watch out, right-hand bend. After the left-hand bend, you will come to a rising false flat. Don't push it too hard.
Bravo!
Go, go!
Allez, allez!
Fonce!
Ouais!
Allez!
Flat out now. It's downhill almost to the finish. Save something for the last kilometer, which climbs. Go! Go!
Continue comme ça!
The next bend turns left. Go! Go!
On lâche rien! Plus vite!
Go, go!
Come on! It's almost over!
Plus vite!
Allez!
Allez! Tiens bon!
Allez, plus vite!
Allez, tiens bon! Les voilà!
We had no real ambitions for the classification of this stage. The least that can be said is, you didn't prove me wrong. It's the final stage, guys. The profile is special, with one major difficulty that should decide between the climbers. The scenario looks to be simple, and everything should be settled on the final climb. This is our last chance to try.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We should witness a one-climb race today. The teams of the favourites should manage affairs up to the foot of the Montagne de Lure, from where the front runners will fight it out to the stage win.
Les voilà! Allez, courage! On continue! Allez les gars!
The mountains don't scare him. He's already trying to escape. New attack behind. Another one who's motivated to spend the day up front.
You're on your way to the top spot of the white jersey standings. It's great. Keep going, kid. It's looking good. You've got more than a minute's lead on the peloton.
He's an excellent puncher who also knows how to climb in the mountains. On the other hand, it's better for him that he finishes alone because his capabilities as a sprinter really are limited.
Watch out. You'll soon have no more energy to attack.
Mais voilà, vite.
He likes to climb at his own pace. He doesn't handle accelerations very well, but on the flat, once on his way, he's a big ruler. The Col de Mur is not very steep, barely 4%, but it's long enough to favour a breakaway by riders with some climber qualities.
Ya lo tenéis. Un po-
He's a good puncher. You must keep a close eye on him on short climbs. He's a good climber.
Allez, 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 les gars.
He's able to come up trumps on the flat, on short climbs or on mountain passes. But if he's one of two riders at the finish, it's best not to count on him.
Continuez comme ça. Continuez. Allez, allez. Allez, les gars, courage.
He's a good climber puncher over any kind of obstacle.
Allez les gars, courage.
His specialty is the sprint, but when he's up against the best, it's difficult for him to come out on top in a bunched finish.
Allez, les gars, courage.
Allez les gars, allez.
Allez, courage, on continue. Allez, les gars, allez, go, go, go.
Courage. Allez, les gars, on continue comme ça. Courage, on continue. Allez, les
His best chance of victory is to try a breakaway from...
Allez, les gars.
Allez, allez.
Allez, les gars, courage.
Allez, les gars, courage.
At ease on short climbs, mountain passes or on the flat, all he lacks is a good turn of speed when finishing in a big group. The first king of the mountain summit is classified as a category 3. There will be 2 points and 1 point to be scored at the top.
Allez, les gars.
Bravo.
Allez, les gars, courage. Continuez comme ça.
Allez les gars,
He's a teammate without ambitions for the overall standings.
Continuez comme ça. Allez.
bravo les gars, allez-y, allez-y.
Continuez comme ça. Allez.
This rider is both comfortable on short climbs and on mountain passes. In addition, his qualities as a rouleur aren't too bad for a rider of his type.
Allez les gars,
Ça c'est bien, allez.
Allez les gars,
courage! Allez les gars, on continue comme ça!
bravo les gars.
Ouais!
Allez les gars, courage.
Allez les gars, courage! Lâchez rien!
Allez les gars,
Allez!
c'est comme ça. Allez les gars, continue comme ça.
You are 2 kilometers from the summit. Watch your opponents.
Allez les gars, on continue! Allez! Lâchez rien! Continuez!
Keep an eye on him. He's the best climber in the breakaway.
Allez les gars,
He
courage.
goes to the top of the climber's standing. Here's the positions over the last climb.
Allez!
He is a pure rouleur who relies on his power to tip the scales. Anyway, he doesn't have much choice given his qualities as a sprinter. He could be labelled as a puncher, but is also good in the mountains. However, his top speed can be described as lethargic.
Allez les gars, courage.
Watch out for him in the mountains. He may be young, but he's already proved that he can compete with the best. He has ambitions for the polka dot jersey. The first rider in the intermediate sprint will earn 20 points towards the green jersey.
The others are fed up because you're not making enough effort. They'll no doubt try and drop you. You're coming up to the intermediate sprint. Keep your eyes open.
Bravo les gars, allez-y.
He's the best sprinter in the group. Take his wheel if you want to score some points. should perhaps be waiting for the group behind. It will be easier if there are several of you.
Allez les gars!
You've won the intermediate sprint. Well done.
Bravo! Allez, allez!
He's punctured his front wheel. His teammates will wait for him. He's their leader. Okay, I'll protect him. His teammates are accelerating. They're no doubt readying the intermediate sprint. It is not always a good idea to be too many in a breakaway, as the others will not necessarily want to cooperate with us. Okay, I'm coming to protect you. When going downhill, the aerodynamic position is useful to increase speed without expending energy. Guys, don't forget to protect our leader. Communication is important. That's why we have TeamCom.
Allez, allez!
Hop, allez, allez, allez!
Plus vite!
Courage!
Continue comme ça! Allez!
Continuez comme ça!
You are 2 kilometers from the summit. Watch your opponents. Keep an eye on him. He's the best climber in the breakaway. He launched the mountain sprint.
Allez les gars!
Allez les gars! Allez, allez.
feed zone is in sight for the head of the race. Riders will be able to pick up some nourishment.
Allez les gars, courage.
I'll go full out on the relay. He's the best placed in the overall standings amongst those at the head of the race. Okay, I'll consume a feed.
The gap isn't changing much.
Allez les gars, on continue, allez.
He's the highest placed of the climbers in the breakaway.
Allez les gars. Allez les gars, courage. Allez, on continue comme ça.
Comme ça.
Continuez comme ça.
The next difficulty is listed as a Category 4.
You are 2 kilometers from the summit. Watch your opponents.
Allez les gars, courage. Oh. Allez.
Bravo les gars, c'est bien.
He launched the mountain sprint.
Allez les gars, suis. Lâchez.
Continuez comme ça. Allez les gars.
C'est maillot blanc.
The tempo is increasing at the head of the race. The breakaway riders will try and manage the time gap.
Allez les gars.
The end of the stage is not far off. Stay awake. It will soon start to move in the peloton.
The breakaway is being reeled in. It will be difficult to withstand the return of the yellow jersey.
Allez les gars.
Comme ça. Voilà. Continue comme ça. Et voilà. Allez, courage, on continue les gars. Bravo les gars. Allez les gars.
There will be 2 points and 1 point towards the best climber classification at the top of the next difficulty.
suis, Thomas.
He's still got something in the tank. He's putting his foot down in the relays. The yellow jersey is 1 minute 30 away from you.
The head of the race has 1.5 minutes lead on the yellow jersey. 1.5 minutes lead for the head of the race over the favourites.
He launched the mountain sprint. Reduce speed a bit, otherwise you'll hit the wall.
Bravo, les gars.
The favorites are 1 minute behind your group.
The yellow jersey group is 1 minute from the head of the race. The riders up front have a 1 minute lead on the favourites group.
You're 30 seconds ahead of the favorites group.
"30 seconds between the breakaway and the yellow jersey.
He's still got something in the tank. He's putting his foot down in the relays. The time gap with the head of the race isn't changing, lads.
The gap between the favourites group and the front is 30 seconds.
I'll go full out on the relay.
Allez, les gars, courage. Courage.
They're riding hard behind. This isn't the moment to relax.
Lâchez. On continue. Et droit. Continue comme ça. Allez.
Allez, les
Comme
gars.
ça.
You are 2 kilometers from the summit. Watch your opponents.
L'Algérien, allez.
He launched the mountain sprint.
Continuez comme ça. Allez.
You seem to be running on empty. Lift your foot if you don't want to blow up. A teammate has just been dropped. You can't count on him any longer.
The advance of the lead group should be enough to carry it to the end.
Our leader's punctured. Get him back in touch quickly so he doesn't lose time on the overall standings. He's being left behind. It's good news for the overall standings.
The breakaway is being reeled in. It will be difficult to withstand the return of the yellow jersey. Here we are at the foot of the Montagne de Lure, with a little more than 15 kilometers of climbing. The favourites from the general classification will have ample opportunity to gorge each other and attack to create gaps. The climb is ranked as first category. There will therefore be 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 and 1 point for the best climber jersey at the top of the Montagne de Lure.
Allez les gars! Allez, courage, on continue les gars! Continuez comme ça! Allez les gars! Continuez comme ça! Courage! Allez les gars, courage! Allez le maillot à pois! C'est bien! Continue.
Okay, I'll protect him. For now, he's the virtual yellow jersey. He's got his teammates riding because in front there's a rider who's dangerous to him and the overall standings.
The lead rider has 30 seconds on the favourites.
He's still got something in the tank. He's putting his foot down in the relays.
Allez les gars, courage!
Change of leader in the overall youth standings.
Lâchez rien, allez!
Allez les gars!
He takes the virtual lead of the overall standings.
Allez, continuez comme ça. Bravo. Continuez comme ça.
Bravo les gars.
Allez les gars.
Allez les gars,
Allez, continuez comme ça.
bravo, courage. Bravo les gars.
Courage, on continue.
Continuez comme ça.
Continuez comme ça. Continuez comme ça.
Allez les gars.
Bravo les gars. Allez les gars. On continue.
Allez les gars, on continue comme ça.
Continuez comme ça.
Ah, je continue. Ouais.
Allez les gars.
Allez les jeunes, c'est la fin.
Continuez comme ça.
Allez les gars. Comme ça. Bravo les gars.
Allez les gars, courage.
Only 5 kilometers left for the race leaders.
Allez les gars.
5 kilometers for the lead riders.
Try to manage things so that you don't blow up before the line.
Ouais, allez.
Vite. Allez, on est avec toi. Allez, vas-y. Allez.
Bravo.
Allez, plus vite. Plus vite. Allez, vas-y. On est avec toi.
Allez.
Passe. Plus vite. Bravo. Bravo. Ouais. Allez.
Allez, les gars, courage.
On continue comme ça les gars.
Allez, les gars.
At less than 3 kilometers from the finish, no one has managed to gain the upper hand. If no one attacks, it will be decided in a sprint.
Allez.
On debout. Plus vite.
Allez.
Bravo, les gars.
Allez.
On y va.
Bravo.
Allez, on
Hop, allez.
Bravo.
Bravo.
Lâche rien.
Bravo.
Plus vite.
Allez.
Go. Allez, à fond. Lâche rien.
Continuez comme ça. Allez. Continuez comme ça. Allez.
Courage, on continue. Allez, les gars, courage.
Change of leader in the overall youth standings.
The leading men will soon be under the red pennant. Who will come out on top today?
Ouais. Allez, plus vite. Allez. Non, là, allez. Allez, les gars, allez.
Allez, fonce.
Continuez comme ça.
Allez, courage.
Continuez comme ça.
Allez, les gars.
Allez, les gars. Continue.
Allez, pousse les pédales.
Allez, on y va.
Peut le faire.
Allez,
te suis.
We had no real ambitions for the classification of this stage. The least that can be said is you didn't prove me wrong. Hi guys, welcome to the briefing for this first stage. Today is a tiring route, where the closing kilometers should suit the punchers. The team members of the favorites will probably manage the time gaps in order to fight for victory on the final climb. It will be difficult for us to influence the outcome. Good race to you all!
Hello everyone. The stage that is served up today reminds us of the great classics of cycling. The reason is that the finish is atop the renowned Mur de Huy, traditional decider of the Flèche Wallonne, with its sections at close to 20%. Certainly one of the toughest kilometers in cycling ever. Attempt at a breakaway.
He doesn't seem to want to let you have more of a lead, and his teammates are pushing hard. It's going to be a game of cat and mouse.
There are a few difficulties, but at the end there is plenty to chew on, with a sequence of the Côte de Ref, the Mur Saint-Léonard and the Mur de Huy in less than 20 kilometers.
His teammates are already supplying the pace to finish in a sprint. The breakaway is forewarned. It's looking good. You've got more than a minute's lead on the peloton.
The mountains really aren't his thing. He's more of a puncher ruler with a good finish, if in a small group. His best chance of victory is to try a breakaway from far out. A good ruler with not too bad a punch. He should still try to get away before the finish because he's not so fast in a sprint.
His teammates are already supplying the pace to finish in a sprint. The breakaway is forewarned. His teammates are already supplying the pace to finish in a sprint. The breakaway is forewarned. He too seems interested in the stage win. His teammates are also riding hard.
Keep going! Ihr schafft das!
You must constantly try to shelter from the wind, so as not to consume energy. This is what allows a rider to edge clear at the end of the race. You're approaching the intermediate sprint.
Gut so! Haut rein! Haltet euch! Anführung!
He's the best sprinter in the group. Take his wheel if you want to score some points.
Lâchez rien, allez.
Allez les gars! On continue comme ça!
The breakaway is losing its lead. It's going to be difficult for them.
Da kommen sie! Haut Anführung! Macht Anführung! Haut rein, Leute! Haut rein, Leute!
Allez, bravo, Juan.
Allez les gars! Les voilà!
Allez, les gars, courage. Lâchez rien.
Haut dran!
Allez, les gars.
Rein!
Les gars, courage.
Haut rein!
He is the winner of the intermediate sprint.
Allez les gars.
Guys, don't forget to protect our leader. Communication is important. That's why we have TeamCom.
He's a pretty good ruler and has decent sprint capabilities.
Anführung!
Okay, I'll protect him. Okay, I'll protect him. They're riding hard behind. This isn't the moment to relax. I'm going to take a nap. Wake me if something happens. Your breakaway companions look like they want to up the pace. You still have 2 kilometers before you reach the summit.
Allez, allez, allez.
Les gars. Allez, on va
Allez!
He's got his teammates riding because a rider who's dangerous for the stage victory has broken away.
The front of the race is in the feed zone.
The end of the stage is not far off. Stay awake. It will soon start to move in the peloton.
Komm schon!
The riders up front still have something left. They're upping the pace to try to hold out till the end. The breakaway is unlikely to go all the way, guys. Watch out for counter moves.
Schneller!
Gut so! Hast geholt! Gut so! Haut rein, Leute!
Weiter!
Verdammt, Jungs!
Allez les gars, courage! Bravo les gars, c'est bien!
Ihr schafft es!
Allez, allez, allez!
He's got his teammates riding full out. You're going to have to up the pace at the front. Your opponents are upping the pace to hold off the peloton.
Bravo les gars, c'est bien!
Gut so! Haut
Allez, vas-y, continue!
Haltet euch an!
Et voilà! Vas-y, fonce, fonce!
Keep going! Keep going!
Allez les gars, courage!
Verdammt, Jungs!
Keep pushing!
La chérie.
Allez les gars!
Go, go, go!
Continuez comme... Allez, les gars! Continuez comme ça, bravo!
You're over-revving. Reduce the tempo or you'll pay the price.
Allez les gars, allez, go, go! Bien! Et voilà!
He can only rely on his qualities as a ruler. Sprints and climbs are not his thing. Another 20 kilometers for the lead riders. They're going to have to join forces to try to hold off the return of the peloton. But their chances of fighting it out for the stage victory seem very slim. The riders are on to the Côte d'Areth, a fourth category climb that is 2 kilometers long.
You still have 2 kilometers before you reach the summit.
Continue comme ça. Plus vite. Allez, vas-y, fonce. Hop, hop, hop.
Go, 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 go.
Allez.
Allez, on y va, on y va, on y va.
The head of the race has 1.5 minutes lead on the peloton.
Allez, plus vite.
His team is riding for the overall standings. The front of the race will struggle to widen the gap. The breakaway threatens the overall standings. He's decided to get his guys to put their foot down. The peloton is starting to ride behind you. It looks like he doesn't want yet another rider at the head of the race. Okay, I'll wait for him. He's been dropped. The stage is too much for him.
Continuez comme ça. Allez, continuez comme ça. Allez. Allez les gars, courage.
Allez, courage les gars, allez, plus vite.
Allez, continuez comme ça. Out drive. Allez les
Allez,
gars.
les gars.
10 kilometers to the finish, and 2 more difficulties on the menu. The Mur Saint-Léonard and the Mur de Huy.
The breakaway will, no doubt, go all the way, lads. But watch out for attacks in the closing kilometers.
The Mur Saint-Léonard. It's a little more than 1 kilometer with sections at around 14%. A first opportunity to whittle away a few riders before the Mur de Huy, the foot of which is less than 5 kilometers after the summit.
The peloton is riding hard. Stay well placed.
Courage.
Allez les gars.
King of the Mountain sprint in 2 kilometers for the breakaway group.
Continuez comme ça.
Allez, les gars, courage.
The riders will be able to take a short breather on the way down. However, they will have to stay well placed if they hope to win at the top of the Mur de Huy with its sections at nearly 20%.
Allez, courage, les gars.
Allez les gars, courage.
Bravo les gars. Allez. Continuez comme ça. Allez les gars.
Another 500 meters and the riders will turn right and begin the ascent of the Mur de Huy. And they're off. The punchers will now be able to sort it out between themselves. He's trying to get out of the peloton. Watch out.
Allez les gars, courage!
Allez les gars, continuez comme ça.
Well done, lads. You rode a very good stage. Finishing in the top 10, even though the stage didn't suit us, is very satisfying. Hi guys, let's start the briefing for this stage. Today's route is hilly and a leg breaker. Perfect for attacking, which should suit the punchers. It may be worth slipping into the early breakaway, because if we pick up enough King of the Mountains points, we can take the polka dot jersey. We're not amongst the favorites for the stage, but there are ways to surprise the favorite.
Hello, everyone. Those thinking of victory in Sheffield, a city with a rich engineering heritage, will certainly need legs of steel. The furnaces will want to be well stoked when Whole Moss is reached and the climbing continues almost all the way to the line. 3,400 metres of vertical gain, concentrated for the most part in the final 30 kilometres. A true English-style Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Attack! Watch out! He's aiming for the polka dot jersey. Attack! Acceleration. He must have been instructed to go for the polka dot jersey. He's a good puncher. You must keep a close eye on him on short climbs. One and a half minutes for the breakaway. It might just work.
You're on your way to the top spot of the white jersey standings. It's great. Keep going, kid. His teammates are already supplying the pace to finish in a sprint. The breakaway is forewarned.
His best chance of victory is to try a breakaway from far out.
Keep pushing!
He's a very good puncher who also rides very well on the flat.
The peloton doesn't seem to be reacting. I think it may go all the way. It doesn't seem to be a good day for him. He's being distanced. You still have 2 kilometers before you reach the summit.
Here we go!
Here's the positions over the last climb.
He can ride all day long on the flat. It would be hard to say that he's in his element on short climbs or sprints. He's a rider who likes short, sharp climbs. His capabilities in the high mountains are relatively limited. A good ruler, he doesn't really have a strong point that would scare opponents. He could be labelled as a puncher, but he's also good in the mountains. However, his top speed can be described as lethargic. He's one of the rulers with a good top speed, able to do well on the hilly stages. He's after the points classification.
We're the highest placed of the breakaway in the green jersey standings. You'll have to up the pace. His team is moving into the driving seat behind. You're the one with the most points for the green jersey in the breakaway. You'll have to up the pace. His team is moving into the driving seat behind.
Keep going!
Come on!
Go, go, go!
All right.
Yeah! Hang on! Keep pushing!
You still have 2 kilometers before you reach the summit.
Come on, come on, come on!
Yeah!
Here we go. Here we go.
Come on, guys, go, go! Here we go, here we go, here we go!
Here we go. Here we go.
Watch out for him. He's the best puncher in the breakaway. He launched the mountain sprint.
Here we go.
Super, keep going!
Keep it.
Super! Keep going!
Come on, guys!
Come on, guys.
Keep going! Keep going!
Up, up, up!
The peloton is riding hard. Stay well placed. Okay, I'll protect him.
Come on! Keep going! Keep going!
Keep it up!
Okay, I'll protect him. They're riding hard behind. This isn't the moment to relax.
Keep it up! Hang on, keep pushing!
Come on.
The leaders are on to a new short climb, but there are no mountain points. The organisers mustn't have found it difficult enough.
Go, go. Faster. Come on, guys. Faster.
Oh, go!
Keep it up. Go.
I'm going to take a nap. Wake me if something happens. You didn't make any friends today. Your attitude will encourage your opponents to attack.
The breakaway is losing its lead. It's going to be difficult for them.
Change at the top of the provisional general standings. The leader's team will have to make its mark.
Keep going! Keep going! Go! 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 Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Keep it up! Come on! Come on! Keep going! Keep... Come on! Come on! Come on!
King of the Mountain sprint in 2 kilometers for the breakaway group. The breakaway is upping the tempo at the head of the race. It doesn't intend to be caught up that easily. He launched the mountain sprint.
No let up. The intermediate sprint is looming for those at the front. Are there any sprinters left to take the points?
Push it! Hop, hop, hop! Come on! Come! Hang on! Come on!
Hop, 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 come on, come on.
Here we go! Here we go!
You're approaching the intermediate sprint. He's the best sprinter in the group. Take his wheel if you want to score some points.
Keep it up.
Hang on! Yeah! Go! Keep going! Keep pushing!
Here's the winner of the intermediate sprint.
Pushing!
You're over-revving. Reduce the tempo or you'll pay the price. Okay, I'll protect him. It is not always a good idea to be too many in a breakaway, as the others will not necessarily want to cooperate with us. The end of the stage is not far off. Stay awake. It will soon start to move in the peloton.
The riders are closing in on the biggest difficulty, Whole Moss. 5 kilometers at an average of 7%.
Keep it up. Keep it up.
There will be 5 points for the first to the top of Whole Moss, 3 for the second, 2 for the third, and 1 for the fourth.
Here we go! Hey! Super! Keep going! Hang on!
Go. Here we go.
Come on, guys!
Here we go. Come on, come on.
Hop, hop, hop! Come on, come! Go, go, go!
You still have 2 kilometers before you reach the summit. Your opponents are upping the pace to hold off the peloton. Watch out for him. He's the best puncher in the breakaway. He asked his guys to maintain the tempo. Watch him. He must feel able to win the stage. He goes to the top of the climber standing. He's been dropped. The stage is too much for him.
The lead riders are entering the final 50 kilometers. Everything will be played out there, and it's the freshest amongst them who will gain the upper hand.
He's got his team riding to set up a sprint finish. This is not the time to hang around at the back of the peloton. For now, he's the virtual yellow jersey. He's the new leader of the overall youth standings. A teammate has just been dropped. You can't count on him any longer.
A final triptych for the riders. 3 small climbs where the best will have a go on the offensive if they want to win the stage.
Keep it up.
peloton is riding hard. Stay well placed. He's got his team riding to set up a sprint finish. This is not the time to hang around at the back of the peloton.
The leaders are off. Who will dare take the first shot?
King of the Mountain sprint in 2 kilometers for the breakaway group. We are the virtual leaders of the white jersey standings. Good. Keep it up.
Here we go! Here we go! Yeah! Speed it up!
Watch out. You'll soon have no more energy for an attack.
Go, yellow jersey! Go! Let's go! Yellow jersey! Come on, guys! Here we go! Come on, guys! Go!
A short and slightly tricky descent follows, and then it continues to rise.
Hang on! Keep going! Keep going! Come on, guys! Go!
You're on your way to the top spot of the white jersey standings. It's great. Keep going, kid.
Come on! Keep going!
The breakaway is unlikely to go all the way, guys. Watch out for counter moves.
Here we go! 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 Super! Keep going! Keep going! Keep going!
He's being left behind. It's good news for the overall standings.
The head of the race has 1.5 minutes lead on the peloton. The last climb is in sight. Will someone manage to land a killer blow?
Let's go!
Come on, guys! Go, go! Come on, guys! Yeah! Come on! Push it! Come on! Go, go!
It's almost completely flat right to the finish, with one exception. A steep climb with a maximum slope of 13% before entering the final stretch.
Yellow jersey! Go, go, go!
He asks his guys to maintain the tempo. Watch him. He must feel able to win the stage.
Go, go, go! Come on! Here we go! Keep it up!
Watch out, he's going on the attack. Last time check with a breakaway, 1 minute. He's trying to get out of the peloton, watch out. Counter-attack at the front of the peloton.
10 kilometers from the finish for the leaders. It's going to be complicated.
30 seconds lead for the head of the race. He's moving onto the attack. He's turning the screw. Here's the steep path. If a rider manages to make it to the top on his own, he should win. Afterwards, it's downhill to the finish. We'll have to keep something in reserve if we want to get away in the final kilometers. Attack at the head of the peloton. It isn't the moment to stare at each other.
Keep going, keep going, keep going!
Come on!
The breakaway will, no doubt, go all the way, lads. But watch out for attacks in the closing kilometers. You have 30 seconds lead. 30 seconds between you and the pack. They're riding hard behind. This isn't the moment to relax. You almost look out of strength. Look after yourself if you want to avoid a blow-up.
Here we go.
Huge congratulations for this win, guys. Our chances of victory were virtually nil. This is an outstanding performance. You beat all the favorites. It's the final stage, guys. Today, it's a stage with cobbled sectors. It could get edgy. Positioning on the approach to the sectors is of vital importance. Cobblestones will make the race unpredictable. Keep an eye on the leader, and if he looks in difficulty, you've got to try and take advantage. Have a good stage.
Hello, everyone. On this northern stage, a little over 15 kilometers of cobblestones were spread over 9 different sectors. These include those of Mont-en-Pével or LM to Wallers. Paris-Roubaix specialists know them well. However, past experience has shown us that race strategies differ greatly from spring to July.
Allez!
Allez les gars! Les gars! Allez, allez! Allez les gars! Ouais!
The riders have just set out and already there's an attack.
He's placing his teammates early on at the head of the peloton. There's no doubt that he's ticked this stage in his objectives. They're pulling the peloton. He must be interested in the stage win, because his teammates are setting the pace for the peloton.
Attempt at a counter-attack. The first half of the stage shouldn't provide any big surprises. Apart from a few fighters who will no doubt try to escape, everything should be decided in the last 75 kilometers, because that's where the paved sectors are concentrated.
It's looking good. You've got more than a minute's lead on the peloton. Okay, I'll protect him. Okay, I'll protect him. Okay, I'll protect him.
The riders up front are widening the gap, but they're not dangerous. He likes to climb at his own pace. He doesn't handle accelerations very well, but on the flat, once on his way, he's a big ruler. This good puncher, he could be labelled as a puncher, but he's also good in the mountains. However, his top speed can be described as lethargic.
The peloton is riding hard. Stay well placed. He's the best placed on the overall standings in the breakaway. He's the fastest sprinter in the leading group. You must constantly try to shelter from the wind so as not to consume energy. This is what allows a rider to edge clear at the end of the race. He's the best sprinter in the group. Take his wheel if you want to score some points. Watch out. You're not going to be able to keep up this pace for very long. You risk a blow-up. Well done! You've bagged the maximum points available. It will strengthen your hold on the green jersey. His teammates are accelerating. They're no doubt readying the intermediate sprint. Watch out! You're not going to be able to attack for much longer.
The breakaway is losing ground. The front runners will soon enter the feed zone. We will then be into the heart of the matter with the first paved sectors.
He's the fastest sprinter in the leading group.
Allez les gars!
The gap is increasing. It's good to have placed riders in the breakaway. We don't need to set the pace.
Bravo les gars, c'est bien. Allez. Bravo les gars.
Allez les gars, allez.
Courage les gars, allez.
For those aiming at stage victory, there are 8 cobbled sectors left. For those with their eye on the overall standings, there are, above all, 8 sectors to be crossed without incident to avoid losing everything today.
He is no longer the provisional yellow jersey.
The next sector from Envelin to Pont Thibault is slightly longer, 1,400 meters. The head of the race has 1.5 minutes lead on the peloton.
It's good. You're back on top of the overall youth standing.
continue. Allez, bravo les gars.
Comme ça. Allez, allez, allez.
Bravo les gars.
Plus vite. Allez. Allez, Arthur.
Oui, Bichon. Oui, comme ça. Allez. Bravo les gars. Allez, maillot jaune. Allez les gars. Vite, plus vite. Continue comme ça. Allez. Tire,
Looks like the breakaway still has some gas left. It's still able to widen the gap.
Courage. Allez. Continuez comme
Lâchez
ça.
rien, allez. Bravo, courage, continue.
Allez les gars. Allez.
Lâchez rien, allez.
Allez, continue les gars. Et les gars. Courage.
A well-known name for the next sector, Mont-en-Pével. But the riders will cross it in the opposite direction to Paris-Roubaix and only over its first third, equivalent to 1,100 meters of a slight downhill falls flat.
Continuez comme ça. Allez les gars. Continuez comme ça.
He's in trouble. It's not sure that he'll be there for the sprint.
Allez les gars, courage. Plus vite. Continuez comme ça. Ceinture. Ouais. Allez le maillot blanc. Allez les gars, on continue comme ça.
Allez, les gars, on continue comme ça. Allez, Arthur.
Courage.
Allez, 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 allez.
Bravo les gars. Bravo les
Allez-y,
gars.
allez-y.
Bravo les gars. Allez les gars.
Bravo, courage, on continue.
The next sector is located in Bercy. It is 1,400 meters long.
Les gars. Oh, ça va bien. Allez les gars.
Allez, les gars.
Allez, on y va.
Les gars.
Allez les gars. Allez,
Continue comme ça. Allez, Arthur.
courage, continue comme ça. Ouais. Allez, le maillot jaune.
Last time checked with the breakaway, 1 minute.
Allez, les gars, courage.
The peloton is riding hard. Stay well placed.
Continue comme ça. Allez.
Allez, courage les gars, allez plus vite.
Allez, le maillot jaune. Allez, courage, on continue les gars.
Allez, les gars, courage.
Allez les gars.
On continue comme ça. Allez les gars,
Plus
courage.
rien. Allez. Courage, on continue. Allez les gars. Bravo les gars.
Allez, courage les gars, allez plus vite.
The upcoming sector is another name that's well known to the Paris-Roubaix faithful, Auchy-Beuvry-la-Forêt, also called Chemin des Abattoirs.
A teammate has just been dropped. You can't count on him any longer.
Les gars, courage.
Allez les gars.
Continue comme ça. continue.
Bien.
Allez, les gars. Courage, allez.
Allez les gars. Allez les gars, courage.
Allez,
Mais comme ça.
allez, les gars, courage. Allez, les gars, on continue. Allez, les gars.
Allez les
Bravo, les gars.
Allez les gars.
Allez les gars, courage.
Lâchez rien.
Courage.
Continuez comme ça.
Allez, courage, les gars.
Les gars, courage.
Allez.
The next two sectors are only separated by 1 kilometer. It's a sequence that should hurt.
Allez les gars.
Allez, on va comme ça.
Continuez comme ça.
Allez, les gars.
The riders up front still have something left. They're upping the pace to try to hold out till the end.
Allez les gars, courage.
Allez.
Allez les gars, allez, go, go, go. Allez, on est...
Bien ça. Allez les gars. Allez les gars. Courage.
Continuez comme ça.
Bravo.
Allez, le maillot blanc.
Allez, bravo.
Bravo, les gars. On continue comme ça.
Allez les gars. Courage. Hein. On continue. Allez les gars, courage.
Bravo les gars.
Allez le go.
Continuez comme ça.
Courage, allez, courage, on continue.
Allez, les gars.
Continuez comme ça.
Courage, on continue.
Continuez comme ça. Allez.
On continue. Allez, Chartas. Allez les gars. On continue comme ça. Allez.
Continuez comme ça. Lâchez rien.
There's a new youngster at the top of the under-25 standings, and it's still a rider from the team.
The head of the race has 1.5 minutes lead on the peloton.
He's being left behind. It's good news for the overall standings.
Allez, courage les gars,
Okay, I'll follow any attack.
Allez les gars. On continue comme ça. Allez les gars.
Muy bueno.
Allez, les gars. On continue
The
comme ça.
penultimate sector is also the longest, 3,700 meters. The riders will still have to have something in reserve.
He's got his teammates riding because a rider who's dangerous for the stage victory has broken away.
Continue comme ça.
Come on, only 2 sectors left.
Continuez comme ça.
Go, go, go. Allez, on y va.
Allez, courage.
For now, he's the virtual yellow jersey.
Continuez comme ça.
Allez les gars.
Allez, courage.
Courage.
He takes the virtual lead of the overall standing.
Courage.
Allez.
Ouais.
Continuez comme ça.
Courage.
Continuez comme ça, les gars.
Allez, courage, les gars.
Courage, allez, courage.
Et voilà. Bravo les gars.
Both puncher and rouleur, he can rely on his pace if he reaches the finish in a small group. Watch out for his punch. His accelerations and short climbs are violent.
Allez les gars!
Allez, courage les gars, allez plus.
Les gars, on continue là, plus vite.
Allez comme ça les gars, on est avec vous!
Les gars, on continue comme ça.
He can ride all day long on the flat. It would be hard to say that he's in his element on short climbs or sprints.
He's asked his teammates to ride you down. You're too dangerous. He's got a flat. It might cost him dearly in the overall standings if he doesn't get help right now.
Allez les gars, allez-y.
Allez les gars, courage.
Lâchez rien.
On continue comme ça!
Courage, allez, courage.
The race leaders are coming up to the last sector. There will only be 4.5 kilometers left when they exit.
Continuez comme ça! Allez les gars!
Bravo les gars, c'est bien.
Bravo les gars. Continuez comme ça. Lâchez rien, allez. Bravo.
Allez les gars! Allez! Allez plus vite! Allez les gars!
Allez, allez.
Allez les gars! On continue comme ça!
Vamos.
He's got his teammates riding because he's a danger to the overall standings.
Allez les gars! Ah, comme ça! Allez! Bravo les gars! Continuez comme ça! Bravo!
Collective fall. It may create gaps.
Continuez comme ça! Continuez les gars! Allez!
Lâchez rien.
Allez les gars, courage.
If you continue at this rate, you'll explode. Watch out! You're not going to be able to attack for much longer.
Allez les gars, courage!
Well done, lads. You rode a very good stage. Finishing in the top 10, even though the stage didn't suit us, is very satisfying. Hi guys, welcome to the briefing for this first stage. Today you are faced with a rare exercise that will delight pure climbers, an uphill prologue. It's a prologue that can already have significant impact on the general classification. That said, we must first focus on this climb. Let's be clear, our chances of getting into the top 10 are slim. Try to limit the damage.